Oh, it might only be round 3, but there's a bit on the line all of a sudden tonight at Marvel Stadium. One of the flag fancies coming to the season is staring down the barrel of a 0-3 start. And the Collingwood Footy Club got their act together last week. Jonathan Brown, Nick Revolt. There is so much at stake for this Brisbane Lions Footy Club. I know for Collingwood as well, but 0-3, Western Bulldogs in Ballarat down the track, Brownie. You cannot overestimate how important this is.
That's a huge game, absolutely, and they know that. They know that it's a massive fortnight. They're concentrating on tonight, and Collingwood being a finals team as well. They love the rivalry there. But you go to zip and 3, Gaz, it's a long way back. And with huge expectations over the summer, you won a final last year against Richmond, got beaten by Geelong in the prelim, but they would have gone away in the summer and just thought, you know, we can come back and we can win a flag this year.
Particularly once they'd added the missing piece too. So Joe Danaher, he was the missing puzzle piece. So that expectation can't be underestimated.
This is what they warned about last year, when they had the fantastic year, or you better start well in 2020, don't do a Melbourne. And they were guarded against that and they were excellent. And it's come 12 months later, so the correction needs to come tonight. But the Collingwood Footy Club, on the other hand, got their act together last week. And on the back of some questions being asked of both coaches and players, and they responded really well.
And they'd be sniffing an opportunity tonight as well. Don't worry about this. This man, Brodie Grundy, he's coming up against two really inexperienced players. He's been under pressure. He's been under as much pressure, I think, as any player in the competition, given his lofty contract status. We know that Collingwood have invested heavily into him. What does he have to do tonight?
Better last week.
He's got to have the ruthless streak that he adopted last year in round 1 against the young Tim English. They turned up at Marvel Stadium. We said, oh, young kid against Brodie Grundy isn't going to... And he absolutely slaughtered him. That's the ruthless mindset he's got to take to these two kids. He's got to think, look, 5 games between you, bring it on.
He's got the opportunity, doesn't he? I think he would have been reminded of that by his coach, Nathan Buckley. So 5 games between Ballard and Fuller, and Ballard comes in for his first game of the season. It's a big ask for him, and that's what he has to do. That has to be his mentality. Obviously, get first use in the ball. It's a big one for the Lions midfielder. Do they go a bit more defensive in the centre square? All duck, no dinner. I think that's out the window. Maybe De Goey goes into the centre bounce a little bit more and they try and get a bit more explosive and utilise the advantage that Grundy's going to get.
I hope not, Jonathan Brown. I hope they use him as they did last week, which was more forward, Nick. That's where he's going to be doing his most dangerous work, I feel, in that forward half of the ground.
Particularly if they use the ball the way they did last week. If they continue that adjustment that they were able to unlock against the Carlton defence last week, well then he's the perfect player for it because he's so explosive off the mark, Brownie.
The concern is, Rui, Darcy Gardner, who's their main match-up defender. You know, you put him on your Dustin Martins, these types of players. Darcy Gardner's not there tonight. He's nearly back from injury, playing in the reserves. So what's the match-up? You know that Harris Andrews is probably playing on Mason Cox. Yep. Who's the other one that's going to play on him? Leicester did a reasonable job on Jack Rewalt in that final last year.
Good question. Jamie Elliott not there tonight either, which is another reason we made to see De Goey forward more than not, given that Elliott's out. He started the game really well last week, kicked early goals on the lead. Just think that De Goey is much more dangerous. If you're the Brisbane Lions, I reckon you want De Goey in the midfield more than you want in the forward line. Pendlebury, the toss, superstar of the competition. I also like it when he wanders forward. He gives them a different mix. Maybe he just might sidle over to Lachie Neale and say, look, I'll make you accountable, because if you're not, then we might do some damage. And I think some pressure on Dane Zorko has been fair enough too. Some undisciplined free kicks he gave away.
Bad one last week, wasn't it?
Bad 50 last week at a critical time as well. So he's got some work to do now.
I think the senior players, Gaz, for Brisbane need to lift. They've been under the standard they put up last year. Hugh McCluggage is another one. It's had a slow start to the year, so he needs to lift his game.
That's where we find out about players when it matters most. We're going to keep a very close eye on these huddles. Clearly when they break, where they go, where's Lachie Neale go, and whether anyone goes to him.
What about Pendle's preparation last night? He was at the Lego exhibition with his young ones. I had my young bloke there and just sold it up to
Pendle. Were you on display, were you?
I was the Stegosaurus at the Jurassic Park.
There you go. What about big Coxie, Mason Cox? He got into some good spots last week too. He's going to have to keep Harris Andrews occupied.
That's right, Gav. Get in spots where you have to be used. Otherwise, Harris Andrews, it's like Darcy Moore at the other end of the ground. They're going to go where the ball is. So if you're Mason Cox, you can't afford to live high. Get where the ball's going.
Right, not far away now. We were at this practice game too, the Amy series, where he had a 15-minute period, Mason Cox, at this very ground where he turned it around. Yep. But this is the question we're going to get answered. Hey, it may take a minute or so to sort itself out, but Lachie Neale, don't be surprised if the champ comes out, the reigning Brownlow medalist, and has 30 plus too. He's an elite footballer. We know he can find the footy. He may have had a bad night. Darcy Moore, the matchup. Let's see if he goes to Hipwood, if he goes to Danaher. He might just take space. Who are you tipping, boys? I need to know. Put it on the line.
Oh, I think Brisbane. I just think there's so much at stake for them.
Hurry up, Don, the ball's going to bounce.
He said the Pies.
I think the Pies.
We'll see you at half-time.
And Danaher. Umpires ready to roll. Round 3 is underway. Fullerton against Grundy, just his 4th game, 7 hit-outs in his life. Off the ground it goes. Moore and good nick last week. All-Australian halfback. First clean touch for the night. Noble on the left finds DeGoey.
Stand!
Little ball down the line. Brown to Adams, superb last week, and then the long ball forward, easy enough for Andrews. A little fumble though, side bottom, a little toe poke in. Callum Brown. Pinned early.
Already seeing Scotty Pendlebury and Lachie Neale just on each other in that first centre bounce and then following each other as the play unfolded from there. It'll be interesting to see if they maintain that matchup.
Umpire Lee Housen to throw it up here. Forward in for the Pies. Grundy out the back door. Pendlebury. Little high ball. Umpire says go. Again, not the required journey. Pendlebury off a step. Wide to DeGoey. Can he close in on this? Starcevic was there. Did well. Trapped the loose ball. Now Starcevic searching wide. Kick's got to be good. And they're hemmed in the forward half for the Pies.
I think that's what Collingwood are going to try and do. Lachie Neale naturally tries to find the ball. So if he does leave Scotty Pendlebury by himself, Scotty can find it himself.
Tom Fullerton, game 5. Captain of the under-17 basketball team. Finds himself on the big stage. Bailey almost took it cleanly, and Berry underneath all of that, little flick back underneath that Tyler Brown. Neale. McCluggage in trouble, out of trouble, around the corner, bouncing ball. Moore attacked it, so too Danaher. Quick hands wide. Now Lyons towards the pocket. Charlie Cameron dangerous. Isaac Quainer. He's going nowhere, Cameron, but might get the free kick. No, throwing it in.
Fair call, home. Although he did take him on, didn't he?
Yeah, well, Charlie sort of thinks high. Grundy, no clean win. Tyler Brown quickly to the wing. Mason Cox, too hot for him. Andrews. Now Fullerton. Lovely kick over the top. Lyons, short ball. Well, spilled in the end. Cameron missed it. Quainer. Moore, Grundy. Now Pendlebury. Little one to Adams. Intercepted by Bailey. Chance here for the Lions. Back to Berry. Now to McCluggage. First real look at the goals. McCluggage. He is offline. No score.
Here at Marvel, it's far more of a creating opportunities from turnovers and pressure rather than ball movement and scoring. And we just see there, just the Brisbane forward able to get a hand and stop that chain of handballs out, gets another opportunity to have a shot on goal.
So Darcy Moore called to go. The moment he stepped off the angle, Grundy flies. So Lachie Neale missed it. Funny little drop kick almost that Pendlebury was trying to pull off there. Not successful. Here is Neale. Quickly around the body. So Brisbane pressing here. Danaher did well. Trying to work onto that left boot. Handball a bit erratic. Quaynor got it to Pendlebury. Pendlebury tumbles it along the ground. Not reaching any great heights just at the moment. Birchall, lovely little chip ball. Found an opportunity with Zorko. Just out of Zorko range. Low penetrating ball. Danaher. So a kick of 15 metres or so, 20 metres from that angle.
You can go back on that line now. Yep, thank you.
Still going to kick around the corner from here, Joe, by the looks.
He was always comfortable with that, Joe. It's how he likes to take these closer shots in.
And he comes, no problems, got plenty of boot on that. Brisbane get the first goal here at Marvel. So Joe Danaher, just the start that he would have ordered. Basically, I guess this was very much almost his home ground for the Bombers.
Brisbane would be happy with how they've started, BT. Just repeat forward entries, creating some pressure, stopping the ball coming out, and then Joey being able to take the mark.
And you see the intercept there from Harris Andrews, but it was Grant Birchall who was able to lower his vision to hit Zorko, and then just the composure, just to set it up. And that's what Danaher's known for, his athleticism, to run back, take that floating across the pack mark. Excellent work from Charlie Cameron there, just to put a body on his opponent. And then, as all forwards do these days, a nice little slap around the body to finish with the goal.
Danaher gets the first. Grundy finds Adams quickly to the right boot. Bouncing ball towards half forward. Too hot for Birchall. In the end, Thomas. Opportunistic little kick. Quickly. Now Mason Cox. Chance to level things up.
That's where Harris Andrews was just trying to drop off if the ball had been surged forward, but just the composure there. As you can see, Harris there, he's just inside his opponent. But when it puts out in front of him, Cox is that tall that not even Harris Andrews has got go-go gadget arms to get to it.
Gee, I'm feeling good if I'm a forward and there's no body contact on me there at all, though.
2 round 1, 2 round 2. Nothing yet. Major wise in round 3, just in terms of Thomas, and he knew where he was going to be, just floated the ball out in front. Mason ran onto it.
Well, that's all you have to do with a person who's that height. Sit it out front, because no one's going to be able to spoil, and that's what Mason Cox has to do. He's just got to make sure that Harris Andrews knows that if he drops off him too much, that he's going to be there to get hit up occasionally.
Collingwood have done their homework there, because they all went sideways there defending it. No one in the middle at all. It was wide open. Danaher here now at half back. Retreats. Great with the new rules that we're not seeing as many backward balls. Players electing to take ground is a pretty good thing. Always trying to go forward. Birchall. McCluggage.
They can't go down the line. Grundy's dropped off Tommy Fullerton, is just sitting 60 metres down the line. So they're hesitant to kick that long one.
Danaher sneaks just a miss kick off the boot then, and this gives Darcy Moore a chance. Immediately looking inside. Watch every time a player gets it in the back half, they immediately look inside even further than where Pendlebury is now. Trying their best to get there, not 15, good call. Each one of those cut sections out there is 12.5 metres or thereabouts. So it gives you an idea of the 15-metre mark rule. Here's Grundy. So Grundy heading south to the Coventry end goals here. Slow build up from the Pies. Short ball, good hands, almost there by De Goey. Down to Sire, kick around the body, that'll bend back. That will bend back. What a ripper. Excellent goal. He looks almost like he's a little shocked, but when you kick a ball like that, it's always going to come back, and it did. So a goal apiece. Collingwood by a point. Classy start to this game.
I want you to have a look at Grundy with his work rate there. He was the one who was long down the line behind Darcy Moore, and even though he was on a younger ruckman who's probably more athletic, or people thought, he worked up and down like 2 or 3 leads, got the hit up mark, and then kicked it forward for it to be a contest, and then a nice little snap there. But that's excellent work rate from Grundy, even though he's going to be probably rucking one end against the 2 younger ruckmen.
Size first of the year, half a dozen now in his short career.
Play on.
Gets thrown to the ground and trying to work his way out of trouble. Devon Robinson, second game, played round 1 last year against the Hawks, not seen again. Fullerton, Grundy.
High, Brisbane. Thanks, Braden. Time back on. Play on.
Lachie Neale, quiet last weekend. Beautiful ball to Bailey.
Stand, John. Stand, John.
A match-winning tackle that wasn't.
Move it on. Play on.
For Bailey last weekend, and then dangerous ball. Danaher out the back, still a chance for his second. Drags it around too far.
Ideally, I think you want the 2 big forwards to have more separation when the ball's coming in like that. You don't want them creating a crowd. They're a great matchup one-on-one. You want to give them the opportunity to be able to fly and jump, and that's their strength.
See what Collingwood choose to do here from the kick out. Remember, the moment he leaves the square, the umpire says play on, and the man on the mark is 15 metres away.
Play on, play on.
Told to go. 1 step off the mark, fair enough. Noble.
Stand.
Ground conditions absolutely perfect.
Yours, touch, play on.
Heard the call, got to go to Goey. Main back into the Collingwood side this week. Madgen went and got it. Lockie Neal wrapped up the tackle. Ball pin, we'll throw it up.
Well, we got the match-up we wanted, lads, with Moore and Danaher, and they've both had 5 disposals each early. Joe's come up to the half-back line and got a couple of marks, got himself involved.
Fullerton trying to go early against Grundy. He becomes the rover. Dishes it off to Main. To go around the corner. Bit cute. Neal fires it towards Hipwood this time. Cameron on his bike. Can he keep it in?
You just see the athleticism of Jeremy Howe there. He's undersized compared to Hipwood, but his ability to leap and affect the mark there makes him such a dynamic defender, and he gives such versatility to this Collingwood back six.
So Ballenden and Grundy here. Grundy, that one falls short, or they got back too far. I'm not sure which, but Howe and Pendlebury combined to help clear this footy. Little one from Sire with a hand out wide to Main. Main around one play. Now dumps the ball over the head of side bottom. Not the best of positions there for him. Pretty hard to get hold of it. Andrews was there. Little handball back inside. Rich ends up with the footy. And Brisbane now try to work it up towards half forward here. A lot of players around the ball. Lions handball. A little bit astray from Bailey. Bailey did well to wiggle the tail and bend it back, but the kick was not what it should have been, even though it was under pressure. Now Pendlebury. This is the kick that Collingwood are looking to make.
Rich just holds, rough head up, but De Goey just strolling by towards half forward, and Thomas. Birchall did well. Thomas quickly back to the loose ball. Now to Myercheck. Ugly sort of a ball, all about the bounce. In the end, Starcevic, neat and tidy, hits Birchall on the belly.
Clear outside. Move it on, play on.
Contemplates. Bring it to the broadcast side and then over the top to Fullerton. And now the man with some space. Spoke about this youngster Robertson, captain of Western Australia in the under-18s, Lark medalist. Game 2, round 1 last year, his debut. Back to Birchall.
Play on.
Precise to Rich.
Stand. Play on.
Neat little kick. Archie didn't have to break stride. Thomas's desperation did enough. To side to Grundy. Tackle from McCarthy.
On the ball. Advantage.
Archie happy to take it. Long ball. Chance for Cameron.
Push. Collingwood.
Wayne will get the free kick.
I would say to Grundy, you're a ruckman. Remember that. Not quite the acceleration of the little nippy ones. There's Brown. No one comes at him. Bit of a lacklustre chase from the back end as well. Birchall, really good by foot, this time hands. Lester ran straight into the Grundy tackle. Talk about make amends. Brodie Grundy with a smothering bear hug tackle.
Thank you, boys.
A fantastic chase here, run from behind to just affect it, and then again from the Brisbane Live player to do the same to Grundy.
Play on.
Little handball from Thomas, far as Birchall. Quick kick. And Tyler Brown back towards Sidebottom, and Myercheck bounces over the top to Andrews, threads the handball to Rich, and Rich quickly through the middle. 50-50 ball. Madgen got there. Main back to Madgen. Wide is Adams. Used in the end, and then back inside. Over the top side, not quite. Rich got a mop up for the Lions. Got to be quick. Dacos hot on his hammer again. The Lions through the middle this time. It is Lions, who's been such an enormous pickup after being delisted by the Suns, used sparingly by the Crows. Fullerton, not quite Noble, the opportunist. Madgen thought about Brown, happy to go himself towards half forward. Right position is Rich. In the end, Thomas did a good job, got back, didn't impede.
What you're seeing is a really even contest. The ball is not moving with a lot of fluidity, and it's just being, turnover, back and forth. Two really even sides competing and showing a real physical presence.
Cox comes up to do the ruck work, just puts it down in front of De Goey. Lions initially won it, got it to Ballenden. Nice, neat little ball by him to McCarthy. The reel and go immediately, just stuck it to the wrong side. Hipwood was heading towards the middle of the ground. It was kicked towards the back pocket. Rough head, Quainer. And now the Pies through Maynard in the back half.
Easy exit. This time to Brown. Now to Main. Now to Dacos. towards half forward. There's a couple of pies there, and then Starcevic split them both.
That was excellent by Starcevic to come off his man and get that score. But I think that kick from Lincoln McCarthy just shows how important that is. If he takes a little bit more composure, gets out the back, they can set up behind it. But with that turnover, Brisbane Lions were just lucky that Starcevic intercepted it.
Cox and Ballenden do the ruck work. Little toe poke over the top. Lester couldn't take it clean. He wanted to get it Robertson. Crisp, clever to space. Ends up with Main. Little walk backwards. Hemmed in Adams. Floats the ball towards centre half forward. Cox with the height. Robinson involved. Dacos, clever player. Round the corner, falls short. Side bottom.
What about the one-hand collect? Just smooth Dacos off the pack. Turned and snapped. Looks like, it feels like you've seen it before, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly does. It's as smooth as. And
First hand, BT, baby.
And it's going to get better.
Play on.
Joe, it's just a wonderful rule that we have in our game. Here's Robinson.
Stand. Stay with him.
And half back, there'll be 2 Dacoses and 2 Browns and more running around. It's
Move it on. Play on.
each club has really good examples of the father-son.
Stand.
Here's Payne, Jack Payne, just in game 8 for him. Half-back just nurses it down the boundary line. Danaher's got to do some work. Lincoln McCarthy in front.
Collingwood.
May have used the hands
Darcy
to
Moore.
elevate himself.
Stand. Thanks, Joe.
And this leaves Darcy Moore with the free.
You can see the lines. That's the last thing you want to do is go down the line. They're trying to look for every avenue to go forward apart from kicking it long, because it just gives this a bloke a chance to either mark it or get the free kick.
Imagine just got there in time. Rough head. Now to Howe. Game's better for Jeremy back.
Yep.
In it. Here nursing a PCL. Maynard. Main is the obvious option. Had to wait a little while. McCarthy came and got a fist onto it. Main's recovery. Moore's recovery. OK gets his hand held. Umpire saw that. He's making every effort.
My ball.
Terrific spoil, but
you pulled it back in, Lincoln.
We just hear the explanation here from the umpire. Fantastic closing of space, but further emphasising it's a hard ground to be ball movement only. You need to be able to create opportunities through pressure and turnovers.
Cox wins the ball against Ballenden, ends up with Thomas. Had a few options, gave it to Hoskin. Elliott has got the wheels, gets away from Rich now, gets a length or two, kick over the top to side bottom. 11 out of 10, it's in good hands now.
And that's what you need to do on this ground. When you get it, you either need to switch or hit that short 45 and then roll and go. If you're going to try and pick your way through, it just, for some reason on this ground, you just can't do it as easy as what you can on others.
I always found it was more noticeable with the dimensions of the ground here as opposed to the MCG. It was harder to get that ball movement with the pockets.
Still side bottom. Approaching 250 games. Clever around goals. Umpire doesn't move. Pies extend their lead. If you're a Pies fan, BT, and still side bottom has the ball inside about 40 metres, you're pretty comfortable.
When he has it any time, anywhere on
Left,
the ground.
right,
yeah, he's
on the run, set shot.
So well balanced, just such a well thought out player and just a highly skilled either side, as you say, hand or foot.
Doesn't overcomplicate anything.
No, he's a special player. Beautiful contact there from Steele side bottom. He knew the moment it hit the boot, Joe.
Yeah, he certainly did. Just seeing here the setup for the Lions at the centre bounce. They're going against a dominant Collingwood ruckman. Just want to make sure that sweeper there, Lachie Neale, keeps his depth and doesn't allow the ball to come out and go behind him, so Collingwood could go straight into a forward 50. 30-odd degrees in Melbourne today. Still very, very hot here, and roof is shut, and I think that's the way it's going to be for most of the year. Here's Starcevic out of the middle. If there was ever an example of not to shut, it would have been tonight. McCluggage's kick, rough head, got in the way. Picked up by McCarthy, zigzagged there a little. McCluggage has followed up his work from the middle of the ground. Picked up here by Archie. He was dispossessed by desperate Maynard. Tried to shuffle the ball out. Now Brown. This is Callum. Robertson was there. McCluggage again. His third touch in this little passage of play. Bailey got the handball back, and Brisbane inside. Grundy's got to go high here. He did. Fullerton was there with him. Did the ground level work really well. Fullerton got it to Rich. He was always under sire pressure. Now it's starting to step up in intensity. Marcus Adams went crashing through. Welcome back to him as well. Little handball out. Picked up by Adams. Fired the handball. Brisbane again. Every time they get it, there's a Collingwood jumper wearing them.
Sire now to Noble. Collingwood withstood a lot of pressure. One-on-one at half-forward. Dacos and Lester. Dacos just knocks it forward. Lester rides him hard, doesn't give away the free kick. Dacos to ground. Can he shuffle it back to Oscar Elliott? Help arrives in the form of Payne.
Well done, Ryan Lester. But up the other end, Collingwood, they had 4 or 5 opportunities. As you see, Lester there on Dacos. He knew if Dacos got it, he was getting away. But up the other end, every time the Lions got the ball, there was smothers, there was handles, there was tackles. Great pressure.
Grundy to Goey. Across the face.
How did he even get that across the face?
Beautiful tap again from Grundy just to hit to Goey lace out, and you can see how dangerous he can be at exploiting this young ruckman of the Brisbane Lions.
So here's Payne. McCluggage getting plenty of the footy already. 9th touch for McCluggage in this quarter. Really good player for Brisbane. Back to Payne. And there's a look at the task ahead for Payne. So he elects the interchange side of the ground. He goes to a 2-on-1, and one of them's very, very tall. Cox to Thomas, and a drilling ball. Good pressure from the Pies. Well, when you switch the ball and you go to the opposite side of the ground, you've got to go to it. At the barest minimum, it's got to be 1-on-1. It can't be a 2-on-1.
The ball's got to get there quick as well, BT. You can't allow it just to be floating in the air. Players are too good at closing space.
You don't need Mason Cox there either, no.
And this one here, when you held up in the back pocket, that's a long switch. If you saw Harris Andrews down the bottom, it's probably better hitting the easy one, and then he can bypass the taller Cox. But it was a great finish for goal there. But I think that's what happens in the back. Teams now identify that you've got to pick up a man straight away, and the more the teams that are switched on, they can get those forward 50 turnovers, which result in goals.
Collingwood are the second best team in the league at stopping teams from transitioning from their defence to their forward line. So they obviously identified the importance of it, and they're really conscious of closing in those targets.
That is also the hiccup. You can see Lions don't want to go long down the line. This is the hiccup. If they don't hit their cut targets, that's the result.
Hit-outs, 13-1. 12 of those Brodie Grundy. Here's Lions. Little one to Rich. Birchall. Robinson. Threw a couple of pies. Kick terrific. Now to Zorko. In space. Buys Lonesome Neil. Just floated forward. Gets the free kick. He's got 53 or 4.
Thank you. Time back on.
Just.
Yeah, because now he's got Pendlebury on the mark who can't roll around, so we can take those 2 or 3 steps to the side where he can kick around Pendlebury. If not, he'll go the safe option to the top of the goal square.
Hits it okay. Hits it well. Hits it well enough. Gets support too from Danaher. Lions have got their second. He didn't really take out the driver. He just timed the ball beautifully and got support. Only went through by the barest of margins, but enough.
Yeah, I think he's got to thank his teammate down there who put the block on. But
Danaher, I think,
because he put that 2 or 3 metres to the side, which gave enough to go around Pendlebury. But he knows his game well enough that he backed himself.
Good courage from Lachie Neale just to stand there and knew that the space was closing in behind him. Still able to control the mark and then finish with the goal. And you see Joey Danaher there probably got away with a little push, but very rarely does an umpire pay that on the goal line. So a nice fight back from the Lions, and they're only 7 points down. Been a very even first quarter.
First goal of the year for Lachie Neale. Is that something he can add to his game, Hodgie? I think he kicked 13 or 14 goals last year.
Yeah, he pushed forward last year against Adelaide, kicked 1 goal 5, so he's definitely got the potential to push forward and hit the scoreboard more.
It's Grundy, side bottom, deals with traffic. Decision making was a little iffy, but his teammate under plenty of pressure. Now picked up by Berry. scrap for the footy in the middle here. Very, very intense. Zorko had it knocked. Lions again. In there went Robertson as well. One-handed handball from Pendlebury. Probably should have been penalised by the umpire. Chief flicked it out. It goes Brisbane's end again. So Danaher and Moore. Here they go. Moore fell over. Danaher tried to take him on. Got it back here to McCluggage. McCluggage went one way, the other way. Little confused in the end. And in the end, Madgens got a spirit to Thomas. But the pressure kept coming from Leicester. Leicester thought about going forward. In the end, backwards to Lachie Neale.
Just trying to flick it to Danaher. Couldn't quite work it out. Thomas takes on Robertson. Drops the ball.
Brisbane. Let him up now.
Been great intensity from both teams in this first quarter, hasn't it? The tackle pressure, the physicality around the ball.
Clear out. Play on.
19 to 14 tackles in the first quarter.
Little give to Zorko from Robertson. And then Pendlebury, all these years down the road, still happy to put everything on the line.
What courage.
Scott, it's your kick. Eric, stand. Time. Stand.
Professional waste of time from Hickwood was brilliant then.
They did the right thing. If you look up the ground, he's given his teammates a chance to man up against the Collingwood players.
Stand. Play on. Play on.
Just came off a little Quaynor. Side bottom, Birchall, couple of old veterans. Birchall almost, Robinson, clever little toe poke, desperation, trademark. Robinson knocked it forward, side bottom. Little give to Madgen, saw Dacos, back to side bottom, over the top to Dacos again, missed him. Tackle terrific. Not even sure who's underneath all of that.
BT, you talked about just the professionalism of Hipwood to delay it. What it meant was that the ball was just a lot slower to exit. Brisbane Lions players could man up, find an opponent, and Collingwood couldn't get that chain of ball movement.
Indeed. Sire, Grundy, side bottom, Noble wide. Gathers, good kick, Noble. And that's a neat little ball over the top just to give them some possession here without pressure. Pendlebury wrong-footed on his right, magnificent to Grundy. He also goes on his wrong, magnificent. Beautiful, non-preferred foot kicking from those two. Ends with De Goey.
That's the second time Grundy's actually just worked harder than his opponent just to get forward. If you see him working there, and that's the smartest thing about Collingwood, is they're going to use him because they know what good skills he's got for a big fella. For him to take that mark and then roll off and to hit a cross-foot kick on your left for a bloke who's 6'6" is an amazing skill.
He uses about 15 seconds of his 30. He's pretty quick to go, and he's just left that out a little right, maybe just there. I think it is. It is indeed. So Collingwood kick their fourth. So De Goey looked like he might have slid that past the right goalpost, just sneaking in. So a couple of minutes to go. Collingwood have kicked 4 and lead it by 13 points. Pendlebury's had 11 touches of the footy already and been very important. Side bottom's been great as well. So De Goey with his first of the night.
We just see here Scotty Pendlebury ability to see numbers and people, but still identify where he can put the ball in space to the advantage of his teammate. Brodie Grundy being able to do the same as well, and then just been a beautiful display of ball movement and decision making, and then the execution as well.
Have a look at that on the screen. Hit-outs 15-1, 7 zip in terms of hit-outs to advantage. Love that. Pendlebury on his right, and Brodie said, I'll show you my left. To De Goey, who put it through, and now Crisp thumps the ball forward. Over the top is Payne. Happy to go wide. Harris Andrews has a little moment, tries to get out of it. Myercheck, pressure terrific. Now side bottom on his left, fires at goal. Again across the face. But it bounds on the full.
It's where Payne, again, you need to hit those kicks. You look like he was a little bit hesitant after he made that mistake in the first quarter a little bit earlier. But you need to either punch at the Harris Andrews or give the handball to Grant Birch, who's running around the back, who can set up a bit of play.
Side bottom hit that so well off the boot. Beautiful timing, got it to spin absolutely perfectly. Of course, an impossible shot. Neale and Bailey combine here in the back end. Looking to transfer the footy. Birchall comes across and says, don't you dare go down the line, and he does. Rich, so they've got it in the hands of the guys they want to. Birchall just sneaking into centre-half back. De Goey covers him there. Great picture. That is a great look at what confronts a defender trying to sneak his way through by foot. Over the top, finds Starcevic, able to go here. That kick didn't have enough length in it. Quainer did well to cut it off and then burnt off Danaher. Handball out wide now to side bottom. Back inside to Dacos. Dacos looks downfield, nothing. So goes across the ground and finds Main.
Down the line to a charging Cox. Kick and a half from home. Little ball inside 50. Neat and tight in now. Brown, Callum. Pushes it into the pocket. Over the top to go. He tries to double back. Andrews desperate for the line. In the end, Mychek knew where the ball was going to be handled. Happy to keep it in. Couldn't move it on.
If you look at composure of Grundy going forward and then Starcevic, he's got all the space out the back. Just kick it as long as you can and let Danaher run back onto it, take an uncontested mark and have a shot from 45. Just try to be a little bit too cute.
Chance for Lions. Check side. Back into a dangerous spot. Who's at the full of the ball? All pies. Howe. Bullet handball inside to Quainer, to Maynard. Low ball. Now to Chris. And he's a thumping kick. Happy to put it to a dangerous spot. Andrews, right spot, right time.
So Andrews from the last line of defence. Told to go. He does. Birchall. Props, they can cross the ground here. They've got the numbers if they like. Birchall's thinking about it. He was going there and eventually the siren sounded. And Chris Fagan, 13 points down, would probably just be a little disappointed. So at quarter time here, it's Collingwood leading 4-2-26 over Brisbane 2-1-13. Magnificent night in Melbourne. Been a hot day here and been some good footy at Marvel under the roof tonight. Collingwood lead by 13 points, 4-2-26. They look pretty good in patches, and the Lions 2-1-13. So we've got a good contest on our hands, good crowd in as well, and a pretty spectacular night, all said and done. The Cluggage got plenty of it, so did Pendlebury in that first quarter. Richo, what did you make of Grundy in that first quarter?
Yes, BT, we knew coming into the game it was going to be a big issue for the Brisbane Lions. Obviously, McInerney was injured down in Geelong last week. Archie Smith wasn't available either, and Grundy really got a hold of them in that first quarter. Brisbane only had one hit out as a team. Grundy had 15. It's the hit outs to advantage that mean the most, though. 8 in a quarter of football is huge from Brodie Grundy. His most in a game ever is 21 in the 2018 Grand Final. This is only going to become a bigger issue as this game goes on. He's a beast. He plays 4 quarters. Brodie Grundy against 2 young, inexperienced ruckmen. They're not going to win the taps, Job. What can they do now as a midfield group, the Brisbane Lions, to try and get on top of what Grundy's doing?
Well, as a midfielder, what you'd ask your ruckman to do is just provide a contest, at least get some physicality on him. And at ground level, it's about initiating contact and being physical. The midfielders at the fall of the ball have to be the one to put on the first physical effort towards the Collingwood opponent. They can't be dictated to. I like what they're doing in terms of they're keeping their sweeper and they're keeping their depth, because you don't want the ball just flying out. You've got to keep some depth with at the back of it, so the ball just doesn't fly into the forward 50. But you have to initiate contact as a Brisbane Lions midfielder and try and offset that dominance of Brodie Grundy and at least get the Collingwood midfielders on the back foot.
Thanks, Job. Ready to get underway here. Umpire John Howarth to let it rip in the middle. What's the second quarter going to present? Richo just spoke about Grundy. In and underneath was Robertson. Little poke out here. And able to go forward off the boot of Cameron. Mark taken here by Madgen. So Madgen at half back here. Umpires firm with the stand rule. I thought last week they were calling the player to play on a little quickly, but I reckon looking at tonight they may have readjusted that and they've got it just about perfect. Quainer out wide searching here. Long high ball for Cox. He just does things so cleanly, Mason Cox. The handball perhaps not so, but put Brown under the pump. Just got rid of it, did he? Correct decision by the umpire. Went to ground with it.
Come on.
And a free ball going the way of Daniel Rich.
Go round, please, Daniel.
He does provide such a clean target, though, for the players up the ground, Mason Cox, doesn't he, BT?
Yeah, he does. Everything he does, he's kicking. He just does things with a minimum of fuss, doesn't he?
Yep.
And cleanliness.
Good ball from Rich. There's Ballenden, who's one of the 2 youngsters who's got to take on Grundy tonight in some capacity. Brown, Tyler, little give. De Goey, fast enough to find his foot. Rich, bit of support. Former skipper in Zorko. He puts it onto the chest of Cameron. Wrong side really for Hipwood. Howe always had him exactly where he wanted. The kick favoured Howe, used his body well, and then Main he chooses. Leicester got there in time.
That's another one of the Lions kicks going forward. They're just trying to kick it straight to the forward rather than put it out in front. Let the forward do their body work and come back at the ball. They're just trying to be too cute, trying to be too accurate, and they're just making the kick a lot harder than what they really need to.
Grundy, he's been dominant in the air as expected. Chance for Neil to start reading his work. Brings it around a long way. Hipwood, somehow Howe got a fist in there.
Just on your point there, Hodgie, it's not a smart kick to a leading forward. As a leading forward, you want it out in space in front, because that then gives you more time to get separation on the defender. The defender wants the quick kick coming in low and punched. Doesn't give the forward as much time to get separation.
Just that little bit of loop helps, doesn't it? Loop in the footy.
Noble to Adams. Terrific in front of the youngster. Wonderful goal last week. Strong mark there.
Rough head.
Stand, Charlie, please. Thank you.
Brisbane's defensive transition has been very good. Collingwood haven't been able to flow through the middle on too many occasions just yet. Been forced to play this tempo, probing style footy off half-back. Kick up towards Myercheck, who's had a very quiet night. Just his second touch of the footy, although that was a very good mark. Myercheck now delivering inside 50 to go. He outmanoeuvred. Andrews takes the mark and steadies the ship for the Lions.
If you look up the field there, no one's moving for Harris Andrews. That's why they're struggling to move the ball, because they just sit back waiting for him to do something.
Roughhead wins the battle against Ballenden. Howe, little give to Roughhead, just fumbled the ball. And Robertson missed his man, ends up with Sire to Quainer. Back to Noble. Half-back, happy to have a look across and decides down the wing is the option. Main does the 360. Ricochets back in the Rich direction. Got him up quickly. Fullerton, Neal, retreating the lines. Leicester over the top. Now a chance for Fullerton again. McCluggage sidestep against Howe. Rich missed with his boot. Main, little under Thomas. Missed Crisp. Zorko desperately out of the air. They need to move it forward. McCarthy left it behind. Bailey lost his feet. Howe puts the tackle on. Back to McCarthy again. Rich, McCarthy, left boot, one-on-one, getting back. Crisp with the left hand did enough. Danaher was with more. Crisp was a third man. Noble helps out.
Noble does. Little chip over the top here to Madgen.
Collingwood's pressure at ground level is really good. Every possession the Lions players have is rushed.
What about the one from Jeremy Howe just in the middle then, Rich? That was great.
Yeah, just came off, just the pressure in the ball carrier's face.
Good example. Neil backwards. It's not such a good ball. Zorko, Grundy, spinning pirouette, unusual for a big man. De Goey, the push off on Zorko, strong, low ball, accidentally to Hoskin Elliott. I think it might have been meant for Myercheck, but Hoskin Elliott got in the way of it. And we'll go back from 50. So just his second touch. Strong by De Goey. Went for the little bullet ball into Thomas, and the interception made by McCluggage immediately, who sends the ball out very, very wide once again to a 2-on-1. To me, the Lions just look a little lethargic at the moment.
Now to Crisp. He's a long kick, has a crack at goal, bounces towards goal, skips across the face. Cox doubles back, now chance Myercheck. Cox off the ground. Quick thinking, quick goal. Pies by 19. Not sure whether Crisp was hoping someone was going to run onto the ball that he put towards goal, or was having a look at pitching it and rolling it through. In the end, the goal is scored. And the Lions just, and hasn't seen it much like this, looking a step or two slow. Game high lead. Lions need the next.
This is that long kick out that again misses a target, but this is what Collingwood have been doing. They've just been hunting in numbers. There's been 2 or 3 get into a contest, outnumbering, and then this is another missed kick, but just the work rate. The big Cox there, he's been able to push him off the ball, and then a little bit of soccer skills. But it's the work up the ground by the Collingwood defenders and midfield have been able to work across, outnumber the Lions midfielders, and then he makes his own luck and kicks it off the ground.
He's just a pro, isn't he? He's just turning into a real professional. He does, you know, 7 or 8, 10 things a game, and that's all he's got to do. He doesn't have to win the game off his own boot. Very well done by the big man. Combining here with Neil, now Birchall, and Rich also. McCluggage again. This time a much more direct ball. Howe went early.
In the back, Brisbane.
And it'll go the way of Berry.
Unrealistic attempt.
I'm not sure you can say unrealistic to Howe, because he can mark 99% of those.
There should be a clause. If it's Liam Ryan or Jeremy Howe, do whatever you like.
Unrealistic? Go and have a look at my highlights reel. I'll show you what unrealistic looks like.
Well, I think that might have been what he was just saying to the umpire. Have you not seen my reel? It's pretty impressive, Mr. Umpire.
My knee's not that bad. I can still do what I used to do.
Yes, you can.
Jeremy Howe thinking to himself, I was only within 300 millimetres of that. That was close. Important shot at goal here for the Lions. And Berry. Good looking ball. It holds its line. Really important goal for the Lions to stay in touch. So Berry trims the margin back to 13. Goal apiece here in the second. And a better start for them. McCluggage getting a heap of the footy. 13 times at the moment. Daniel Rich and Lachie Neale, the 3 players in double figures at the moment.
Just see the ball movement here from the Brisbane Lions, and as we discussed, probably a little bit stiff there, Jeremy Howe, to be paid a unrealistic attempt, but conversion nonetheless from the Brisbane Lions. Have a look at the effort in the sprinting, and what's so noticeable, this Collingwood team wanting to defend and how quickly they are to close space, and it's a collective all over the ground, and it's emphasised with the way in which they run hard defensively.
Now a chance for the Magpies. Can they answer quickly? Long driving ball. Myercheck to Goey. Dacos lurking ominously. De Goey wants to take them all on. Ball up.
Joe, that's what you've been talking about. The Lions have been really good to stop the Collingwood, but Collingwood coming out the front. But that one there, he comes straight out the front of stoppage, kicks it to the top of the goal square, and the Lions there were very lucky not to give up a goal.
Grundy knocked it down. Robinson, quick kick. Skipper. Happy to go wider still to Danaher, who's a long way from where he normally resides.
Move it on. Play on.
Quainer, Hipwood, front spot. Bit of a mismatch height-wise. Hipwood initially caught behind and then skipped around the front. 4-3 last weekend. Through the middle to Lions. Quick kick, is it 15? Just. So Bailey now into the pocket. He's got Lachie Neale waiting. Lachie Neale can just finish things off here. Clever kick normally. This time, Errington across the face again.
He had a bit more time than what he thought. Then he picked it up. He could have probably ran straight towards the goal and felt it was a bit more under pressure.
Yeah, I reckon the drop pump was the go there on that one. Wrong angle for the around the ball, around the side. Banana style. Here's Roughhead. Jeremy Howe wanting him. That's not 15. That is not 15. Each one of those tracks of grass at 12.5 metres. Crisp. Spots up Myercheck. He'll want to go. He does. Marcus Adams could do little about it. The kick was not so good. And the interception here by Bailey finds Adams. So Adams at centre-half back.
It was the right move by Myercheck to roll and play on because the ball was moving fast and there was space. It was just simply an execution that let him down.
Good to see Adams back. He's 38 over the last 5 years, 7 a season. Body hasn't helped him at all. There's a dog or a lion. Couple of pies. Couple of lions after Berry got involved, and then Robinson got a bit to deal with.
You can just see the breakdown when Big O's not in the team. Eric Hipwood is getting the mark at the half-back line and then kicking to an undersized forward when really he should be the one receiving it, and then they've got Joey down the line. So it's just structurally they don't have the same influence that they do when he's in the side.
Grundy put into space again for Taylor Adams, and there just seems to be more pies around the football all night so far. Crisp, Madgen, McCluggage started to tear away and left the footy behind.
Tom and Brody, left, thanks. Thanks, boys.
Grundy again just putting on a clinic tonight, this time to Main. Floats it forward. Myercheck, Adams, Andrews under pressure. Dacos, the tackler, missed his boot.
On the ball, go through. Thanks, Marcus. Stand. Play on.
And happy to. Dacos kicks, an absolute beauty. Just an innate goal sense bred into him, but he's worked on his craft and he knew exactly where the goals were. Hardly looked, just turned, went, kicked, shaped.
That instinctive nature, isn't it? Just to roll and go and back your skills.
Hodgie, I reckon this will be on the tape on Monday.
Yeah, Richo, you're right. The first thing you talk about at a stoppage is balance around the stoppage, just so they can't get an easy hit and they can run out the side. The lines overbalance their defensive side of the stoppage, and Grundy could just knock it down. And then when you surge it forward, and we've spoken a couple of times about how dangerous this guy is. Adams gave away the free kick, and then he rolls around and kicks that beautiful goal.
And having played with his dad and watched his dad, that then was just the spitting image in style and movement. The way he grasped the ball, everything as his dad. You couldn't have got any more. Adams drops the mark that he probably could have taken. Now 3 Collingwood players. One of those, Dacos, kept it alive to side bottom. He creates something by putting it in the danger zone. Harris Andrews had to go with the fly to the ball. It was amazing from Dacos.
That's where the lines need to work. You can sort of see they're jogging away. There's a couple little short ones, but up the ground, they're not moving.
Yep. Lions kick intercepted by Pendlebury, and suddenly the Pies can work the ball inside 50 again and look at a game-high lead. Margins 19 now.
Move it on.
They've kicked 3 of the last 4.
Yours.
It's a little heat off the kick. Mason Cox with the height.
Collingwood.
Ballenden got stressed. Wrapped him up. Pleads his case. Won't matter.
2 arms around. Mark is here. Sorry. Clear out.
They're red hot on arms around. Red hot on it, and fair enough.
That's your line. Stand.
So Mason has 1 for the night, looking for the Pies' 7th.
15 good.
This easy, simple motion he's created. He's reliable. 25 points. Suddenly Lions in trouble. I guess if you come to the game so late, when somebody tells you how to kick it, they simplify everything and just say, just do this. There's nothing that he's learned as a youngster when he's got no strength or he's trying to over muscle it. Or
I think with that kick then as though it didn't come off pretty. It came off the instep of his foot.
Yeah.
But because it was such a nice balanced kick, it went straight.
Just see here the free kick paid, and it was there, but you get the sense that Brisbane are spending a lot more time defending in the game, even though the inside 50s are evens, 22 each. You feel like there's a lot more repeated entries for Collingwood, and that Brisbane are under the pump a lot more. And I think it's the way in which Collingwood defend as a collective. They squeeze the ground, they make you defend, and obviously with Ruckman, who's giving them such a good look out of the centre bounce.
Oh, there's a bit of attitude in that little celebration as well. Notice he holds the ball on the front side of the ball rather than the side of the ball. Interesting. McCarthy. Little ball forward. Couldn't get down. Well, he could get down, but he couldn't hang on McCluggage, and now Noble picks it up.
Ball up. Thanks, John. Thanks, Mason and Connor.
Hipwood is manned by Madgen on his toes. Neil, little shovel handball out the back to Mitch Robinson. And here comes Hipwood now. Good effort, great mark. Really good contested mark.
Yes, thanks.
And Hipwood will line up from 30 out.
But they haven't had that many opportunities, these key forwards, to run and jump, and that's their strength. The quick ball movement, getting it in, even though it was an outnumber because Collingwood had the extra, but this is what they need to be able to do. They need to run and jump and launch. Both Joey and Eric, very similar profiles of players, and their strengths are the same.
So Hipwood in game 97, approaching the 100-game mark. 30 out directly in front, hammers at home, as straight as gun barrel that was. So staying within that 3 to 4 goal range here at the moment, Brisbane. Hanging in there, giving themselves a shot at some stage when their game comes together, because that right at the moment, all aspects of their game aren't firing, but they're staying there to give themselves a chance.
Not unlike last weekend against the Cats.
Yeah.
They didn't let that margin blow out to 5 and 6 goals.
And they got better towards the end, didn't they?
And Job, you're spot on. Sometimes it's not the prettiest kick going forward that is what the forwards love. That one where you can just sit it up and let them run and jump at it. We've seen a couple of times tonight where they're trying to be too cute. Mitch Robinson, he's not cute when he plays football. He's hard at it, and he just wants to get it going forward. And sometimes like that, sit him out in front, let him use his athleticism. And he kicked 4 goals last week. It was a good start for him tonight.
2 goals to the Lions, 3 to the Pies in this second term. Grundy again. Out of the middle, just works it towards half forward. This time, Robertson to Robinson. Pitches at half forward, skips away from Berry, who kicked his second goal of his career tonight.
And both of you guys identified that they're not playing that well, but they're sort of hanging around, and it's a sign of a seasoned unit that's been up there, and they've been a good side for a long period of time. They're just able to find a way to keep themselves in the game.
If you look up the other end, Kalachi has gone from forward down back, and now the Lions are playing a 7-man defence. Collingwood didn't want him to start up some play from there, so they've now equalised it.
Ballenden caught behind. Grundy knocked it towards Sire, fires it towards Pendlebury, loops it over the top. Crisp, hurriedly, spinning ball towards Harris Andrews and Mason Cox. Cox did pretty well, just knocked it to ground, and Pendlebury has an amazing ability to make the Manic look calm. Sire, De Goey. Payne lost his feet. Adams flew over the top. Now Callum Brown watches on. Payne again desperate. Ball spills. Andrews knocked by side bottom only as far as Starcevic. He's happy to clear the ball. Wants it out of there. Berry, well done. Hipwood missed his man. Ball to be won. This time Ballenden crashed on through. McCarthy, little give. Now Bailey spins out of trouble. Did the 360. Still in trouble.
Little handball comes to Noble, over the top to side bottom. Collingwood on the rebound here now. Pendlebury, a difficult ball to gather, under real pressure, couldn't get rid of it. Crunching tackle from Archie. They've just risen a little here at the moment, Brisbane. That was their best passage there a moment ago. Lots of pressure and want to maintain it inside their 50. Have a look at the Brisbane jumpers around this contest. Plenty of them. See what transpires. Side bottom out of midair. Maynard missed the lot. Sire tried to get rid of it. Little ricochet ball. Grundy. Kick out of the pack. Comes to Goey. De Goey's locking it in and stands up as if to say, I haven't got it, and we'll ball it up.
As you see there, Kalachi dropping back just to be that spare in case the ball does hit the ground.
Ballenden trying to take front spot. Grundy too crafty. Callum Brown to a little bit of space. Noble goes and charges through. Robertson stands up, takes the tackle, and takes Noble to ground.
The flip side with Kalachi going down back, if you look at the other end, Collingwood now have 3 spares sitting in the centre of the ground, just waiting for that surge kick coming out. So you're talking about the ball being in this end. That's the reason why.
Sire, one hand held, couldn't take the footy with the other. Lions didn't have a lot of time, but did well. Howe over the top again.
There's that spare.
Yeah. Punchy ball, Cox, Hoskin, Elliott. Now Robinson sweeping. Left foot. Game 2 for Devon Robertson, and to take the grab, did well.
Beautiful kick by Mitch, wasn't it, to find him. He had no room to work with it at all. Lions Just gets rid of Hoskin Elliott off his tail, goes backwards and finds Payne. So the switch on here. Andrews got the loose out there in Birchall, but Birchall's got nothing over the top.
Play on! Play on!
Thought about the handball. Don't know why he was called to play on. He didn't move. He only faked with the hands then. Umpire's doing that a little, not as much as they were last week. And ball dribbles over the line.
That's outstanding from Jeremy Howe. He looked out of position, but his ability to get the fist on it, but then he directed it deliberately to the boundary line. That's just really good defensive play.
See if the Brisbanes have learned anything about the stoppages here, Hodgie.
Crowd of about 28,000 in, 39 the possible 75% crowd here. Dacos. Howe. Tidy with the left, finds Main. Looks inside, nothing there, so goes wider to Grundy.
Every time Dacos gets the ball, he just looks confident. Last year was such an important one for him. Came into the season. Does he fit in this best 22? Absolutely he does, and he now believes it too. In the end, Harris Andrews and Archie win the battle against Mason Cox.
And Hodgie touched on Archie coming back and playing as a spare defender. Just there, just another body around it allowed Harris Andrews to take the intercept mark. So been effective for the Lions.
Over the top of Maynard. Tricky enough in the end for Berry.
They're just finding it hard getting past this part of the ground.
Yeah.
Collingwood are doing such a good job either rolling around. You saw the Lions before switching side to side, trying to get an open gap, and they can't. Just the Collingwood defensive system is working so well at the moment.
Fullerton. Now he's got the challenge of Grundy. The big assignment, Crisp. Just pitches inside.
One of the reasons they can't get across that line, guys, is they're just struggling to get handball receives at all tonight, and that's what breaks the lines in AFL footy. We've seen that a lot in the opening few rounds from all of the teams, and 62 to Collingwood, only 38 to the Brisbane Lions so far. One of the reasons they just can't get any overlap happening.
Tyler Brown, little give to Thomas. Floats it to a bit of space. Going back, not quite for Adams. Robinson just bulldozes his way through, holds the handball. Neal went low, ricochets back towards Robinson. Somehow Thomas involved. This time Tyler Brown. Lions, clever, really agile, back towards the boundary line. Full stretch Cameron, not quite. Quainer missed it too. Crisp cleans up inside with the handball. This time to Maynard. Thomas had to be fast, was Quaynor ahead of Cameron. Who's at home for the Pies? Big fly, Hoskin Elliott out the back. Cleanly taken Archie, and they start all over again.
Yep, Neal again. You can't help but feel they're hemmed in a little here at the moment, the Lions. Mitch Robinson wanting it on the boundary line. Lockie Neal says let's steady a little. Umpire says go. Kicks it down the line, and Hipwood looking for the boundary line. That'll give them all a spell, but it's going to come back again because Collingwood have got some numbers here. Maynard tries to thread the needle. Mitch Robinson marks, and everyone for Brisbane is just looking a little tired at the moment because they've been under constant barrage of pressure, haven't they?
Physically, it's exhausting defending for long periods of time, and that's what they've been forced to do.
Hipwood now got Charlie Cameron on over the top. Couldn't get the length in the kick. Cameron was there. Here he is now. Got Madgen. He'll turn him inside out. He turns most inside out. Charlie Cameron, something out of nothing. What about that? How did they get a goal out of that? Charlie Cameron did all the evasive work at the end. They looked dead on their feet, as both Job and I said, and then all of a sudden, the brilliance of Charlie Cameron one-on-one.
Such a critical goal late in the second term. Bring it back to just over 2 goals. That goal going the other way makes it such a different margin.
And we've been saying how stagnant the ball movement is. That's where you need someone like a Grant Birchall or a Daniel Rich to try and hit that kick, and then smart by Hipwood to try and roll on, get it out the back of the Collingwood defence. Charlie Cameron, what do you say? He gets there. He may have had a couple options short, but when it's him with inside forward 50 and the composure that he has and the smarts around goal, you tell him to back himself.
And also the Birchall kick, kicking it to a 6'5" guy in the middle of the ground. There's a big difference between doing that and a small mid.
The kick was good. The dance move to give himself space. The best part of that little sequence. Adams finally getting another game in Lions colours. Been a while between drinks.
You feel like Collingwood have had the dominance and the ascendancy, but Brisbane, as they've touched on, would be reasonably happy with the position that they are as it looks on the scoreboard, only being two goals down.
I'm worried about their spare winger here, Collingwood. He's sitting back. Grundy's been winning the tap and hitting back to him all day. Just again, that's the third time this quarter they've done that clean out of the stoppage.
Tyler Brown, Cox, Main, Myercheck. There's a few pies about the place. They can raffle it this time. Dacos looking for another this quarter.
It's a great call, Hodgie, and what you're saying. And what Brisbane don't want to do is they don't want to give up their spare winger behind the ball, but they need their half forward to come up and play a 2-on-1 because Grundy is effectively just hitting it to the winger.
Dacos is always causing problems with Brisbane. I remember the day Peter once kicked 13. There were a few problems that day for Brisbane.
Wasn't the ruckman hitting it to the same side winger either, BT.
Hodgie, I interrupted you. Sorry about that.
No, I'm saying that's predicament with football, because if they bring up a high half forward to watch that winger, that means one of their defenders drop off, and we've been saying all night about how good the Collingwood defence is. So you're sitting there going, do you give up the forward just so they get a spare, or you're going to worry about that winger? At this stage, with Grundy being so dominant, I'll bring him up and shut down that winger.
McCluggage to Rich. Thought about the longish one, but went the halfway one because he looked over and I think he saw Marcus Adams there, and nothing against Marcus Adams, but he was probably saying, I want to get it to someone that can kick it inboard. Here's Zorko.
You think that the Brisbane just want to sort of hold and slow things down and make sure that they can go into half-time no worse situation than what they are now.
Gee, that was a good kick. The advantage is paid as well. They go forward again. Danaher should get a free here. Moore a little clumsy in falling into his back in the end. And Darcy a little disappointed in his awkward fall. Let's have a look at it.
Clear out. There's only allowed one on the mark.
Probably a knock around the mush as well.
Just unfortunate.
Play on.
And he does. Around the corner he goes. Got it. No problems. This will be a goal. So Danaher kicks his second, and they are back within 8 points. Mum and Dad pretty happy as well for Joe, who's looking dangerous. And Brisbane all of a sudden have kicked 3 goals in a row, and as I said, have closed it to within 8.
And that's the kind of team they are, though. They can score really fast. So that's why they wouldn't have panicked when Collingwood got on top, because they know they can kick 3 or 4 goals in 10 or so minutes.
Just such a great job at keeping themselves in the game to put themselves in this position.
Just see here, it was unfortunate that Joey slipped and then Darcy Moore got him over the shoulder high, but a good finish. And we're right, it's just Brisbane, you feel like they've just been grinding away, hanging in there.
Quickly.
And because they're able to do that, they're only going in 8 points down so far at half-time, and effectively they've been outplayed.
Yep.
Well, not unlike last week. Big League was 26 points against the Cats. They just kept believing, kept grinding it out. Last 3 of the night, Moore and Danaher again. This time Moore wins the battle. Brown, ground level. Tyler just sort of works it forward at ground level, but Zorko works through a couple of pies, kicks the long ball. Hipwood, Howe, Noble sits up for it. Then works the ball cleanly down the line to Tyler Brown.
Well done, Noble. Worked hard from the wing all the way back. You wouldn't think a bloke that height could impact those 2 tall fellas.
They're out over here, Collingwood. They've got a number of players out. Dacos has won. Grundy's running forward as well. This will leave someone open in the middle. Roughhead wanting the football. Dacos wanting to take a bit more yardage than that. And did well to sneak the handball to Howe as they'd all given up on him and looked for the longer kick. Howe, searching ball, great kick. Gee, should have marked it side bottom. It was right on the chest.
Richo Adams was picking himself up behind the play and looking like he was sort of reasonably sore and groggy.
Yeah, there was a little clash here between Taylor, Adams and McCarthy. I'm pretty sure it was an accidental clash.
Okay.
So Grundy knocked down here. Fullerton was tackled. Sire, Bailey ran into the Grundy tackle. Players know this minute there, but 44 seconds in reality.
It wasn't a stationary
as
tackle.
they hold it up on the bench. They're well aware of what this last 40 seconds is worth. It's an 8-point Collingwood lead. Can Collingwood respond? 3 successive goals for the Lions. Here they go once again. Neal from half-back, high ball. Once again, a 3-on-1 there for Collingwood. And Roughhead rescues the day.
Connor Ballard will be a bit upset then. The same thing happened to him. Both arms around him, throwing him out of the road.
So time still for the Pies through the middle here. Moore happy just to mop up the clock. Big lead was 25 for Collingwood. Single figures now, so the Lions have kept themselves in it. And at half-time, I think Chris Fagan will be more pleased than he was at quarter-time. 13 at quarter-time, but the way the Lions brought themselves back into the game, Lions within touch. Lockie Neal.
Oh, Brisbane have fought their way back into this contest on this Easter Thursday. Looked in all sorts of trouble at one stage. Cox kicks a goal, gets it out to 25 points halfway through the second quarter, and then they answer Hipwood, Cameron and Danaher. They get it back within 8. Revolt, Jonathan Brown, it hasn't been one for the ages, but I tell you what, you'd be proud of the Brisbane Lions. They've hung in.
Yeah, they're very good. They were hanging on with about 2 fingernails left halfway through that quarter, Gaz, but all of a sudden I reckon they're back up on their elbows. They've got themselves back over the cliff. All of a sudden they were energised. That last 3 or 4 minutes, I like the coaching of Chris Fagan, his men up there. They put a loose behind the football just to help his team, really, just to keep him in the game.
I was worried about our man, Gaz. He had the bottom lip going halfway through that second quarter, worried about his boys. And really, you've got to give full credit to Brisbane. It was a smashing through the middle of the ground. Complete dominance with Brodie Grundy. It started with him. But Collingwood just weren't able to convert. Either not aggressive enough with the ball or Brisbane found a way to slow them down enough. It's almost a carbon copy of last week, really, isn't it? What they were able to do against Geelong.
Which is admirable, to hang in and hang in. Harvey Norman, half-time highlights. It's about Brodie Grundy. We flagged the fact that he's up against 2 young lads that have hardly played footy. Would he be ruthless in the manner that he was against the Tim English round this time last year? And he was. He ripped it apart early. I mean, his hit-outs to advantage. He's on track for an all-time record. He's had their +9 clearances, but in the end, they almost neutralised at Brisbane. Scores from the clearances weren't what they looked like being early in the piece.
Yeah, so right now they go into the rooms and they say, hey, boys, Brodie Grundy's putting on an absolute clinic. We need to find a way to be able to capitalise on his dominance because it's such a big advantage through that part of the ground for the Collingwood mids to be able to get really aggressive with their work. And some of Brodie Grundy's work, we've been critical this year, but take a look at this zero lab from Brodie. One of the things that I think he was missing earlier was that really killer instinct, the ability to put his opposition player to the sword. We've seen this in the past from him. So his follow-up work was great, but then his ability to test these young Brisbane ruckmen going forward, we haven't seen this Browning from Brodie Grundy this year.
No, we haven't, and that's the style he is. He gets to work, and sometimes you need to come into this game, and he knows he's the big dog. He's coming against 2 kids that have played 4 games between them. Sometimes that's the thing you need, and maybe Bucks might have rolled him up a little bit and said, hey, this is the chance to prove yourself. Are you a dominant ruckman in this competition? Yep. You're coming up against kids.
Hey, I like the ruthlessness about it. I also like that was right foot Pendlebury into left foot Grundy in that passage of play. Both of them were just magnificent. So that was nice to watch. I mean, there's his first half highlights. He's heading for a career high hit-outs to advantage. But as I said, it hasn't played out in the manner that we thought early in the piece. We thought it was just going to be a nightmare.
The one thing about being so predictable, and we spoke about pre-game, and the Lions midfielders would have planned for this. Coming up, 2 young ruckmen. They know they're going to lose the hit-outs. So they would have been able to set up defensively. So you're not seeing the Lions mids get on the fly and be too attacking. No. So they're setting up and corralling the Collingwood midfielders. So that Collingwood dominance at the clearance hasn't turned into scores.
And the inside 50 count, we thought at one stage would have been lopsided as well, and they worked their way back into it, but they didn't convert those, Rui. Only taken 2 marks inside 50 for the half, Brisbane.
Yeah, well, I think this is why there's so much upside if you're Brisbane sitting here right now, because the inside 50s are relatively even, but kicks like this, you can see where the forward wants the ball, but the kick goes to the other side, so that's not...
That's a timing thing, so he's got to wait, and then this one is just a horrible decision.
Well, you've got a 6'8" player in front of the ball, kick it up, let him launch, so kick it to your forward's advantage, and it was a bit of a theme, I think, for the Lions in that first half, which is why, again, there is so much upside. You've identified the space, you've turned your defender, you've got him where you want him, but the kick doesn't go to your advantage. It gives the defender the best opportunity. So Brisbane are in it, but they've slaughtered the footy at times.
Our man Rui would have just wandered up into the centre area just to have a bit of a chat to the midfielders, wouldn't he? The delivery was coming in like that back in his day.
Oh, he wouldn't have wandered up. He would have just yelled out. But that again is...
Pot in the kettle, you blokes.
Connection between mid and forward. The first one you showed, that lad, was great.
Yeah.
Hipwood had headed back to goal, and he was making some space for himself to double round and hit back into, and McCarthy just pulled the trigger when Hipworth had started. So
that can take time, Gaz, to build that
No,
rapport.
that's right. That's what I'm saying. Well, McCarthy and Hipwood shouldn't.
They should be.
Danaher, I can understand.
Yeah.
Lockie Neal, we spoke about this and we wasted a lot of energy over this. Pendlebury went to him at the centre, first centre bounce. It's not a hard tag. They're playing on each other, arguably. He's been pretty good. He's been as good as any of them, particularly when they were down early. He was finding a bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. His energy's been good around the stoppages, no doubt. So look at those numbers, 16 after 3 last week in the first half. And it's been well supported too. His all-go's been good. Huey McCluggage is the other one. It's been down on form the first 2 weeks, all-Australian calibre player. So their senior players, I feel like, are starting to get back into a bit of form, Gaz, to keep them in the game.
Yeah, and let's not forget, from a Collingwood point of view, this is as important to them as it is to Brisbane. We talk 0-3. I mean, they don't want to go 1-2 at this stage in the season as well. So I thought their first 10 or 15 minutes was really good, and it looked like that connection that we saw last week was there. And it was really only that.
How does he address that, though, Bucks, at half time?
Well, the 3 unanswered goals in the last 10 minutes is what would have him going off his head. And when in that period of time, in that last 5 or 6 minutes, it was Brisbane being really precise by foot. Uncontested marks went up. So then you go mindset, are you dropping off? Are the Collingwood just dropping off their man as that quarter got towards the end? So
they weren't as assertive
either,
Gaz. They weren't as assertive as they were last week with the ball. There was a lot of, in middle of the ground with the ball, Collingwood in control, took it wide, took it non-direct. So I think they can tighten that part of the game up.
It's a very, very interesting game. So much at stake. Can't wait for the second half. Let's get some odds on the other games with Sportsbet.
Yes, thank you, Gary. Let's talk about our promo at Sportsbet. When you kick a goal in the first 2 minutes, we pay you out as a winner. From the 9 games that played in round 2, 6 of those had a goal in the first 2 minutes. So 6 games paid out early. You don't have to worry about the result because the money is in your back pocket. A further example of that is last week's game, Sydney up against Adelaide. Adelaide, Shane McAdam kicked the goal in the first 2 minutes of the game. So we've paid out all Adelaide bets. If you had a bet on Adelaide in that game, we've paid you out. Goal in the first 2 minutes from Shane McAdam. Sydney come back and win the game, so we also pay Sydney out. That is what we call a double payout here at Sportsbet. Good luck if you're punting. Gamble responsibly.
Easter weekend continues. A Good Friday doubleheader. North and the Bulldogs entertain us on the important Good Friday day. Big names, Marcus Bontempelli and young stars from the North Melbourne Footy Club. Will Phillips on debut, looking forward to that. And then the Texan keeps, hopefully, from his point of view, keeps on his merry way. Become a goal-kicking machine up against a pretty impressive Gold Coast. Good game of footy, 2 good games of footy on Good Friday. Lots to look forward to on this Easter weekend, but still plenty to play out here. Let's go to Johnny Ralph with the round 3 blowtorch. Ralphie?
Thank you. Welcome to the round 3 blowtorch. A couple of teams desperate for a victory already, and we start with one of them, North Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs. So, Brownie, Ryan Gardner and Alex Keith, can they develop through the season into the kind of defensive duo that can get it done in September? Because it's probably the only Achilles heel right now for the Dogs.
Well, they're going to have to, no doubt about it. Williams done a terrific job playing on taller men, but I think Easton Wood's really going to help him. He'll play a critical role for the rest of the year. Sort of being their shadow, to help them out, their insurance policy, get across and be that intercept marking defender that he's been a great player at.
Bevo's backing in Gardner, so long may that continue.
Yeah, seems like that.
Nick, we'll go to Adelaide. Adelaide versus Gold Coast. Gary, Isaac Rankin. So we kicked 3 goals last week, very nice goals, but they weren't Cozzy Pickett-style goals. They weren't flashing across packs. Do you think there's a little bit of professional sort of almost jealousy there? Do you think that we might just see something invigorating from Rankin this week?
Not just the young fellas buy into this. Eddie Betts is buying into it, so he'd be sitting back looking, saying, give me a run, I need to get on there and get me some stuff. Higgins, Arts, Dan Rioli, Goulden from Sydney, they'd all be sitting there going, well, when that All-Australian 40 comes out, there's only going to be room for one of our small forwards, so we'll have a go at that throughout the course. And isn't the game better for it? It's great to watch. I love those small boys doing what they do well. Bring it on, more of it.
So we don't want the line and length stuff, we want the freak show stuff. Richmond versus Sydney, Nick. Give us the matchup you just cannot wait for. So Buddy Franklin's out, no Buddy versus Bolter. But is it Goulden versus Grimes? Is it Rampy who gets a crack at Dusty?
Oh, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Rampy go with him everywhere. I think Justin Lepich was the one that put that out on the agenda. That'd be great. But I can't wait for Longmire v Hardwick. It's not often that we have coaches back and forth, but we had it last year and we loved it when the coaches went back and forth at each other. So a little bit of bad blood maybe still lingering between those two.
So Dimmer laughed it off. I've apologised. Do you think he just wants to put the foot to the throat.
Oh, of course he does, Ralphie. Of course. The coaches have got as healthy egos as players. So Sydney play a really challenging style with the ball as well. So that'll be a great match-up in the coaches' box.
Essendon versus St Kilda. So, Brownie. Brad Crouch is a nice player. He's the best and fairest player, but he's not a weapon. So in his debut for St Kilda, how does Brett Ratton turn him into a damaging player?
I know he fills that midfield role he's done in the past. He's the bull in there with Jack Steele. Seb Ross has more gone on the outside. I think they can complement guys like Steele and Crouch with that speedy guys. Gresham's come back into the midfield. Billings playing in there at times. Brad Hill on the outside, even though he didn't kick it as well. So I think he's just got to do what he's done in the past. He's got to be that midfield bull.
So West Coast versus Port Adelaide probably should be the match of the round. Nick, now I think you've got a man crush on Zach Butters. You love him. You think he's got the quickest hands in football. Give us the top three who are fantastic at that. And why do you love him so much?
Yeah, they're lightning, Ralphie. His hands. I just love the balance he has as a player. He doesn't have a weakness. I think he can win his own footy. He's good on the outside. He's sneaky tough. He does really hard things on the football field that you wouldn't think when you look at him. He looks like a schoolboy at times. Gaz, you showed some great stuff last week of Tom Liberatore on the couch with his really clean hands. I think he probably sits on the podium, and Lachie Neale, who runs around. I mean, he's really underrated. We know he's a silky mover, but what he does with his hands in and around stoppage is pretty elite.
He's done some work with Diesel Williams in the past, Lachie Neale as well.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So Carlton versus Fremantle. Carlton is playing bruise-free football, Brownie. Who do you want to come off the field looking like they've gone 6 rounds with Tim Zoo?
Yeah, absolutely. They're getting scored against too easily, aren't they? So giving up big scores the first 2 games. Looking forward to Harry Mackay versus Brendan Cox.
No, I didn't ask that question. I said, who do you want to get in there and really get down and dirty?
Well, the leaders need to stand up. And Paddy Cripps, I think he's carrying an injury, so it's hard for him. Sam Doherty. Sam Doherty's the other co-captain. He needs to lift. He's a defender, gets plenty of the football. Make sure, though, he's adding to the team, setting the example defensively, because they're just leaking like a sieve at the moment. And it's got to start with the captain. He's got to lead from the front.
What do you think, Nick?
Impressed with you, Ralphie.
Why is that?
Just pulling him up there. Make sure he answers the question. That was good.
Right, I'm just warming to the task. GWS versus Melbourne. We're talking about Cozzy Pickett. We love the match winners. So he was amazing, but he also went into the centre square, Gary. What does he do for the dynamic of the Melbourne midfield?
He didn't go into the centre square, Ralphie. He started in the centre square. He started both games this year, opening bounce in the centre square. So sky's the limit for that young man. We're excited about him. Everyone is in footy. He's one of Jordan and Sparrow, the blokes that all go in and have 4, 5 or 6 turns through the middle of the ground that allows Melbourne to continue to keep their players fresh. So far it's worked. It's been working for them, and who knows? He's just following the Cyril blueprint.
Keeping a lid on it. Just really keeping a lid on it. 2 and zip.
Yeah, Nick, last game for me, Easter Monday. So Geelong versus the Hawthorn Footy Club. So does Mark O'Connor go to Tom Mitchell? That simple? Or does Mitchell not hurt you enough to tag him?
Oh, I'd still go to him. I think where he wins it at the coalface, if you can cut the supply, you go a long way to winning the game.
Took a while to drag some answers out of Brownie, but he was pretty good when we got them in the end there, Gaz.
Yeah, you might get a bop on the nose too, Ralph. Stay watching for Wreck-It Ralph. Saturday Countdown, live, 12 o'clock. Plenty to talk about Thursday and Friday games with the boys. Don't miss it.